Live from Earth, it's Space Radio. This is Paul Sutter, and coming up, we're talking about reaping Saturn's whirlwind, and if we have time, the Ganymede Gambit. And special guest in studio today, Ralph Crew, the Program Development Coordinator for the Carnegie Science Center, joined by his colleague, Lamont Craven, the Adult Programs Manager of the Carnegie Science Center. Of course, taking listener questions about all things in the universe. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. So call 888-581-0708 to join the conversation. And in today's Blue Shift, I'll be talking about time. But first, the news. And then it goes to a little NPR news thing. And so I have to repeat this because that's the way it is for the radio. The space cadets are used to it. Hello, space fans. Welcome to Space Radio. I'm Paul Sutter, astrophysicist at Ohio State, chief scientist at COSI. For the next half hour, your agent of the stars. Got an exciting show for you today on Space Radio, where we talk about all the wonderful things in our wonderful universe. This show lives on listener questions. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern here in Studio A of WCBE Radio Columbus. Call 888-581-0708 anytime, even if you want to leave a voicemail. Get those calls in. We'll have a nice little chat. You can also follow along on our live streams on YouTube and Twitch, joining the Space Cadets, tuning in live right now from San Jose, California, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Norg, Netherlands. I'm still not convinced that's a real city. Salt Lake City, Madison, Wisconsin, Ashburn, New Zealand. Wow. New Zealand, Shorewood, Illinois, and Florida. You know what? Florida's also cool, but, not as cool as New Zealand. Sorry, Florida. We've only prepped 10 minutes of show material tops, so get those calls and questions in, folks. How's it going, Space Cadets? Good to see everyone today. Malta. I missed Malta. Sorry, Mario. I'll have to get you in. Come on next week, and I'll give you a shout out. That's so cool. Yeah, get those questions in. I do have guests today in the studio. You can't see them. They're over here. They're over here.
Hello.
Ralph's waving. You can see his hand. So I'm not gonna have time for tons and tons of questions, but I hope to get some questions in. Before I start taking calls, though, I want to share some interesting bits of news I caught recently. And we all know what caught me today is that we all know a year ago, the long-running, the storied Cassini mission to Saturn, which lasted years and years and years, orbiting that world, unlocking mystery after mystery, creating mystery after mystery. This Cassini orbiter in orbit around Saturn lasted something like 19 years in mission home, which was unbelievable at the time, way past the mission specification. Tons of science. And of course, they ended the mission in pure, such a grand fashion. What a way to go for this Cassini spacecraft. They didn't just let it float there or wander around aimlessly or just freeze and gently shut down. No, they crashed it into Saturn itself, because why not? For science. One more run for Cassini. And so what they did several passes going through the rings of Saturn, plunging through the rings, ever more daring, ever more dangerous, ever more Evel Knievel style every time, eventually doing some passes between the body of the planet and the innermost ring itself, and then actually plunging into the atmosphere. And the whole time they were doing this, they were collecting data. They were sending back data. Even as Cassini entered the atmosphere of Saturn itself, it was still sending back data to Earth. And in that time, now it's been about a year, we've been analyzing that data, studying that data. And there's been a suite of half a dozen papers published right after each other from various research groups that took those last few days of data and got some interesting results. And so even in its last, just think about it, even in the last moments of this mission, Cassini was still doing the job of doing science. And what we've learned, what we really learned, is something we've never known about before when it comes to Saturn. What we've never known about before, and what we're still trying to understand, is the relationship between the body of the planet and the rings. We're used to thinking, if you look at Saturn through a telescope, we're used to thinking of the rings as separate from Saturn. Like there's the body of the planet there, the big yellowish ball, and then there's the beautiful rings. And they're their own separate things. And for the large part, they are their own separate things, but they do interact. Material from the rings continually falls into Saturn, plunges into Saturn's atmosphere. Something like 10,000 kilograms per second, which is kind of a lot of material, mostly water ice, but also methane, also silicon, carbon monoxide, molecular hydrogen. So much stuff is falling in from the rings. And there is streams of material going back out from the body of the planet to the rings. There is gas escaping from Saturn, following lines of magnetic field that are plunging through the rings themselves. There's cycles. There appears to be cycles of material flowing in and out of the rings and in and out of the body of the planet itself. And this kind of interaction is something new, something we don't fully understand. So we're just waiting for Cassini 2. And that is the latest and greatest when it comes to space. It's time to have a conversation. I'm good with my timing today, Greg. I'm very good. All right, we got tons of Space Cat questions, but I do have a voicemail. What do you guys think? Should I take the voicemail or Space Cadet question?
Ooh, I like a voicemail.
We're going to do the voicemail.
Sorry, Space Cadets.
Sorry, Space Cadets. Ralph has spoken.
Sorry, guys. Oh, no. I've angered the Space Cadets. That's not good.
Yeah, no. It'll be delayed. So they're like 15 seconds behind live.
So the rage is coming.
So the flood is coming. Downvote. Thumbs down. Actually, I think I can get both.
Yeah, get both. I just like to record. I like people's voices. That's all.
We got 6 minutes. No, that's fair. That's fair. All right. I'll get both in 6 minutes. Watch me. All right. So we've got a wonderful voicemail lined up, ready to go. Let's hear it, Greg.
Hey, this is Adam in sunny California. Just turning into one of those internet crazies. So my question for you right now is if, speed of light is not constant, if it changes through a different medium, the fastest it can go is in a vacuum. How about the speed of gravity when gravity fluctuates? Does that change also when it's in a medium, or is it a constant speed? Really curious about that one. Thanks.
Very cool question, Adam from Southern California. You're not turning into one of those internet crazies. You are an internet crazy. You've been that way for a long time, but this is a wonderful question. Speed of light changes in different media. And we know that gravitational waves, the emission of gravity from an object that was long ago theorized to travel at the speed of light and has recently been observed to travel at the speed of light. We know this for sure down to very, very high levels of precision. And so the question is, if light changes its speed in different media, do gravitational waves change their speed through different media? And the answer is no. Very interestingly. So the reason light slows down in a different media is that light itself, the photons, the beams of radiation are interacting with the stuff. They're running into things and they have to interact with the thing before getting re-emitted, before passing on their way. And so that interaction takes time. But the gravitational waves, these are waves, these are ripples in space-time itself. And yes, the gravitational waves affect matter. As gravitational waves pass through this room I'm in or pass through the room you're in, they are stretching and squeezing the space-time around you. They are influencing you. These are literally great waves of gravity, but this doesn't affect their speed. They just sail right on through. So great question, Adam. Great question, Adam. I'd love to dig into the physics more. Might have to do a whole podcast episode about that someday. Now, we do have tons of Space Cadet questions. I don't want to neglect them. So we've got Campbell Duncan over on Twitch asking when the universe was still a plasma before the time of last scattering. Was that plasma at least larger than 13.8 billion light years in radius, so that when we look at the cosmic microwave background, we're actually looking at a cross-section of its insides? And so that is a wonderful question asking about the earliest moments of our universe, taking the clock back way, way back when our universe was just a little baby. And when our universe was smaller, when it was younger, it was smaller. When it was smaller, it was hotter. When it was hotter, it was more dense. Our universe was incredibly different a long time ago. It was more different than it is today. Our universe changes with time. And there was a point in our universe's past when it was so small, so hot, so dense that it was a plasma. It had a state of matter more like the inside of the sun, more like the inside of a lightning bolt than, say, the air in this room. It was very different. But then as the universe aged, it expanded and cooled off and grew thinner, more thinned out. Its density lowered and it reached a certain critical threshold where it transitioned, it transformed itself from a hot, dense plasma into a mildly less hot, less dense, normal gas, not a plasma anymore. And this transition epoch happened when our universe was about 380,000 years old, so 13.8 billion years ago. And when this transition happened, it released a tremendous amount of radiation, a tremendous amount of light. This light persists to the present day, is in the form of microwaves, which is why you don't see it, because you can't see microwaves. But if you could, you would see it. It's called the cosmic microwave background. And the question Campbell is asking here is, how big was the universe back then? How big? 13.8 billion years ago. Well, the universe back then was about 1 million times smaller than it is today. 1 million times smaller than it is today by volume. So imagine, it was pretty hot and dense way back then. Our current observable universe is about 90 billion light years across. Take a bunch of zeros off that, it was 1 million times smaller. It was only 90 million light years across back then. That's in radius. You have to cube the radius, so 1,000 cubed is 1 million. That's how I get the million number. Our universe was very small back then, and we can see it on the sky. Everywhere you look, in every direction, you see a remnant of the cosmic microwave background. You can see this afterglow pattern of the Big Bang itself. And that's how we know. One of the reasons we know the Big Bang happened, because we literally have a picture of it. Thank you for those amazing questions. I'm Paul Sutter, and this is Space Radio. This show is brought to you by you. Go to patreon.com/PMSutter. It's how you keep this show and all of my education and outreach activities alive. Keep it going. Patreon.com/PMSutter. I'll see you after the break. 2 seconds to spare. Take that, Greg. Challenge accepted and met. Now, come on over, guys.
All right.
Space Gas, we're going to scooch. Okay, we see Ralph.
Hello.
Hello. I'll scoot way over here. Man, I'm going to be in the
Yep.
foreground.
Great.
Then you're gonna come over here too. Okay.
Just to make it interesting.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Almost.
And you're gonna have a tendency to want to talk to him, but try.
I'll just look
Talk
over
to the
there.
mic. Talk to,
Yeah.
like
He's really not anything to look at.
like Greg's ex-wife. Like, don't look me in the eyes. Got issues. Okay. Oh wait, I can turn the camera too. There we are. There we are. There's all of us. There's all of us.
Cadets can see you.
Turn of the camera.
And then we can just hold my book like this.
Right there.
Perfect. Nailed it. Space Cadets, these are my guests. And I'm going to interview them for 9 minutes. So you're going to see the timer there. When we got about 30 seconds left, that's when I'm going to have to wrap it up and transition to the next segment.
Totally.
So just keep an eye on that. I have no idea what I'm going to ask you.
All right.
So we're just going to roll with it.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Space Cadets. I introduced these two fine folks at the beginning of the show. They're from the Carnegie Science Center. And if you have a question for them, put them in now about what it's like to run a science center, be in a science center, what kind of things you're excited by science, what you had for breakfast today. They had some weird questions.
It was a muffin.
But Nancy,
Just
it was a muffin.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it. That is radio
Oh, man.
gold.
I won't tell you what kind
That
of
is-
muffin.
oh.
Well, I'm just teasing.
Oh, I'm on tenterhooks now.
Oh, yeah.
Was it blueberry?
It was a blueberry.
This is blueberry.
That's king of the muffins.
You know what? I'll allow it.
What, you disagree? Is there another muffin you would rather have?
I'm neither agreeing nor disagreeing. I'm allowing it.
What's your favorite muffin?
I'm not going to state that. I'm not going there.
That's blueberry.
I'm not entering.
It's got to be blueberry.
I'm not entering the muffin fray.
All right.
The fracas. But I'll allow it. You
All
can
right,
say that.
all
You
right.
can say it's the best muffin. It's cool.
I said it was king of the muffins, not necessarily the best, but it's the one that rules over the other muffins.
You know what? That is an excellent point. You know,
Right?
because there can be some
There are other
lackluster-
muffins.
There can be lackluster kings,
Yeah. Sometimes I've had
incompetent
a
kings.
blueberry muffin that was just childish and inappropriate.
Centuries of inbreeding.
Yeah. You know, you ever have a hemophiliac blueberry muffin?
Yeah. Well, no, I have. When you chew into it and like
It's
all
just-
they just keep oozing and oozing and
Just
oozing.
oozing, no coagulation of the blueberry juice at all.
That's a common problem.
That is.
amongst the muffin
Well,
royalty.
blueberries themselves lack platelets. Little known fact.
And now widely known fact to the three people who are still watching this.
Someone said a cheese muffin. Now, I love cheese and I love muffins, but cheese isn't the best muffin.
Now you started a fight. You've started a fight. Now people
Oh,
are saying
man.
chocolate muffin. How can you describe the universe in terms of a blueberry muffin?
Ooh, well, so imagine a blueberry
wait,
muffin.
no, I want to get that on
all right,
radio.
all right.
I want
We
to
can
get
do
that in the segment.
We can definitely do that.
This is golden.
Because the blueberries spread apart.
People do
as-
not infer that I hate blueberry muffins. I want this to be absolutely clear.
I'm sorry.
I want this to be absolutely clear. No, it's coming out. It's coming out because now it'll be a thing. And like 3 months later, I'll meet
Sorry,
someone and they say, "No, I was going to get you a blueberry muffin, but I heard you hated it, Paul." I'm like, no. That's exactly how all my fans talk to me, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't hate blueberry muffins. No,
They're a good muffin.
they're good.
That's what I had for breakfast
They have the
today.
potential for greatness even.
Yeah.
Some
this
muffins
one today was very
some
good.
muffins were baked into greatness. Some muffins had greatness,
Greatness
thrust
baked
upon
upon them.
them.
Yeah.
Baked upon them, sprinkled upon them.
Well, the crumble top is important.
Greg is so losing patience right now. He's just watching the levels. He's like, make this stop. I just want to go back. Trim. No, I haven't even started the timer yet. Although this is way better than my prepared questions.
All right.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Paul Sutter, and this is Space Radio. Instead of more listener questions, I have two wonderful guests with me today from the Carnegie Science Center. I have Ralph Crew, the Program Development Coordinator, and Lamont Craven, the Adult Programs Manager. How you guys doing today?
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So, gentlemen,
Yeah.
we just had a very lengthy discussion about what you had for breakfast,
True.
and you had a blueberry muffin.
I did have a blueberry muffin.
And so I
yes.
asked the Space Cadets to ask you questions because
Yeah.
I'm not really a good interviewer and I couldn't think of anything. And one of
Okay.
the Space Cadets asked, this is from MVG 523, how can you describe the universe in terms of a blueberry muffin? Go.
All right. Well, so imagine a blueberry muffin rising in the oven, right? And all the blueberries in it are sort of like galaxies in our expanding universe. They all get farther away from each other, sort of in all directions, right? So if you're in any one point of the blueberry buried within it, the blueberries will all seem to rush away from you. And they would have a red shift even though they're a blueberry.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That is, boom. Nailed it. That is exactly why you're the program development. What is a program development coordinator specifically for the Carnegie
Yeah.
Science Center
So I
do?
I'm lucky I get to do a lot of really awesome stuff. I help run our Skywatch programming, so it's astronomical observations we do with our planetarium and our telescopes. I co-host a podcast called Snack, which if you haven't heard it, check it out. It's a free podcast called Snack with SNAQ.
Did you bring a snack?
I had a blueberry muffin, but
But you ate it
I ate it.
because it was your breakfast. Okay, fair enough.
I also run a science lecture series, and we have a very exciting guest coming in December. You might know him because he is you.
Oh no! Oh, that's right. No, I'm so excited for that. It's the Cafe Sci.
Yeah, Cafe Sci or Cafe Scientifique. We do it once a month, and we get an interesting scientist to come and talk science to the public for free, and then they get to ask questions afterwards, and there's even food and drinks. So it's a great time. If you're in Pittsburgh on the first Monday of the month, it happens every month, and yours will be on December 3rd, I believe. So
That's right. December, one of those Decembers.
The first Monday of December.
The first Monday of December. I'm there. I'm down for it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have
I've heard you have a wonderful audience. I've got another Space Cadet question.
Okay.
Asking about your podcast. Can you talk a little bit more about your podcast?
Yeah.
And do you cover topics in the recent news? Do you do just like random interesting science topics?
Yes, the answer is both. We do science. So the show is called SNAQ, which stands for Science, News, and Questions, or Science, News, and Cues. And we do headlines. Like today we were talking about how airports in France are using googly eyes to scare away hawks. And we also talked about the atmosphere of Titan and lots of other cool stuff. And then we go in depth. Earlier today, Lamont actually was our guest host, and we were talking about dogs. Lamont is a great dog owner, and also he has a biology degree. It was a great fit. And then we also answer questions. This is one of my favorite things. You can call in and leave voicemail questions or email them to snack@carnegiesciencecenter.org. And it's just a blast. It's really fun being able to interact. Well, and I'm sure, as you know, with a whole bunch of people asking science questions. It's a lot of fun.
That's the best. That's so cool. And what was the URL for that again? We'll put a link in the show notes.
You can just go to sciencenewsandcues.com or snack at podbean.com, or just look up just wherever you get your podcasts. SNAQ.
And then Google will autocorrect it.
Yeah.
To the correct spelling of snack. And so you have to.
And then you have to go back and be like, no, Google.
I meant this.
I meant the good kind of snack.
Well,
actually, the regular kind of. In fact, we did an episode about snacks on
Snack.
We did a snack, and it was delicious.
I bet it was. Lamont, so adult programs coordinator and sometimes co-host of Snack.
Correct.
So why is it so important for science centers to even bother talking about adults or to adults?
Well, it's really important for science centers to talk to adults because a lot of times adults kind of stop thinking. And to be frank, we kind of stop thinking. And science is everywhere and it's continuous. And no matter what we do, there's some type of science involved. And so getting adults to kind of reconnect with science is kind of what our core mission is, and getting them into our building.
So do you see this as a different thing that the Carnegie Science Center does, or how is it integrated into the general mission of the Science Center?
Yeah, it's not really a different thing. It's just kind of targeting a different audience, if you will. But the Science Center's general mission is just to connect science with the community in general. So whether that is for young scientists or families or adults, everybody needs science, and that's kind of what we're doing here.
So here's a challenge for you. Let's say I am afraid of science.
Okay.
Like I certainly don't listen to space radio or Snack. And if I see a science headline, I'm over. I'm done. I'm intimidated by science. Convince me that an adult program at the Carnegie Science Center is for me.
All right. So we have a program called Two Scientists Walk Into a Bar. And it's exactly what it sounds like. So for people who would never go into the Science Center, we actually kind of pop up on you. You don't know that necessarily that we're coming. But we send two scientists into bars all around the city on the same day. And you can kind of talk science with the scientists. So I know it can be kind of intimidating because scientists are highly specialized. And oftentimes,
we're super smart.
Yeah, we know a lot more than you do. But they kind of break it down, and being in a bar and we after a few drinks, it makes it a little bit easier to have some courage to ask some questions that you may not normally ask. So. Yeah. That's a good way to kind of take the science to the people.
And I think that's such a cool phrase. It's like, you have the Carnegie Science Center, but you realize that center can be in physical location. It can also be a mental location, and taking science to the people.
Absolutely.
And so how does that fit in? Back to you, Ralph. How does that fit in okay, you're trying to bring scientists and science to some new locations in new ways to reach new audiences. How do you make sense of it all? Like, how do you plan, or do you plan to do this in a cohesive way, or do you just say, that's an audience that I want to reach?
Well, I mean, I think we try and reach as many people as we can. I've never heard of someone learning science and then it being a bad thing, right? So if we accidentally go beyond what we were intending to reach, great. There is also a certain level of sort of controlled chaos to what we do, especially with the bar programs. You never know. One time I was doing the Two Scientists Walk Into a Bar, and I spent like half an hour talking to a flat earther, which I didn't expect. By the way, I'm not a flat earther, in case, no offense. But yeah, we, anyone we can reach, I think, is someone we want to reach. And I think science, one of the things that we want to do is make science digestible and engaging and fun for anybody. You know, there is a sort of a stiffness and an academic snootiness almost to science sometimes, but you can get rid of all that formality when it's two scientists walking to a bar, or if it's someone calling into a podcast, or coming to a 21 plus night where they might, like, we had axe throwing at one of our events recently.
Super awesome.
It was amazing, and it's something that, like, who doesn't like that, right? So
who can not like axe throwing?
yeah, well, our insurance
Our legal
company,
team.
yeah.
The lawyers don't like. I couldn't. Yeah. You call it. So we're almost out of time in this segment, but I want to ask you, what is the most challenging and rewarding audience that you connect to?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I think they're all rewarding. My favorite is connecting to kids who are not into science. And I mean, adults are important too, but you show an 8-year-old Saturn through a telescope for the first time, and they go from being like, well, science is boring to, whoa. And their jaw drops, and you see a change, and that moment is going to live with that person for the rest of their life. And I mean, there's nothing really more rewarding than that.
Can we get a simultaneous whoa?
Yeah,
Ready?
sure.
1, 2, 3.
Whoa.
Brilliant. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Ralph
Paul.
and Lamont. CarnegieScienceCenter.org for all the links. The links will be on the show notes at spaceradioshow.com. We're almost out of time today on Space Radio. But before we go, it's time for the Blue Shift. Brilliant. And we'll see how it goes. So I ad-lib, the entire show.
If you address us, we will respond.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to know. It's like,
I didn't know I was going to talk.
There's a microphone in my face. I'm Paul Sutter, and you're listening to Space Radio, and this is the Blue Shift, my opportunity to get a little bit closer to you. And yes, I'm promoting the TikTok event again, which is Saturday, October 27th at the Steam Factory, and you can get tickets at WCBE.org. This is where a modern dance company, Siren Modern Dance from New York, they're coming to Columbus. They're going to be in Columbus all next week in residency at the Steam Factory. We're working together on a project. We're collaborating, and we're actually going to live stream a big chunk of that. You can go to pmsutter.com. That's my own website. You can get links to the live streams of those sessions. We're doing so much cool stuff. And the subject is time. The subject is time. And this is such a wonderful, wonderful way to approach the subject because we basically don't understand time. Physics and physicists, we know some things about time, like the fact that time and space are interwoven, the fact that you can adjust your rate of progression into the future, like the fact that it appears impossible to travel into our own past, that maybe it's somehow sort of connected to this concept of entropy from thermodynamics, but whoever asked for that? Lots of mysteries about time, but dancers live in time, right? The way they approach motion and communication and dialogues is through moving in space and time. They're intimately familiar with time. And so that's why we're crafting this production together, where I can share with you some of the things we know and don't know about time from the perspective of a physicist. And they are going to react to that. They're going to respond to that. They're going to move to that. They're going to create their own dialogue with the audience and with me, where we can all explore it together. I'm not going to promise that at the end of it, we'll have any better understanding of time, but we will know something about time. We have a sense of what we know about time. We'll have a feeling associated with it. We might even have an emotion associated with that. And exactly what Ralph and Lamont were saying about how important it is to connect with audiences, engage with audiences, to find the challenging audiences and find ways to connect with them, to make science make sense to them. That is exactly why I collaborate with artists and dancers. And this is exactly why dancers and artists collaborate with me. We spoke about the boundaries between the public and scientists. There are boundaries between the public and modern dance.
Yeah.
And they want to find ways to address that. So I know you guys can't come to the performance, but you're doing so many cool things. Thank you again for joining me today on
Thanks
Space
for having
Radio.
us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
WCBE.org for tickets to TikTok. And unfortunately, this broadcast is almost done. Thank you for joining me on this voyage of space radio. Thanks again to Ralph Crew and Lamont Craven from the Carnegie Science Center for joining me in studio. Can I get a whoa?
Whoa.
Once again, I'm Paul Sutter, and this show is brought to you by the Ohio State University Department of Astronomy. Learn more at astronomy.osu.edu. This show is also brought to you by you. Go to patreon.com/PM Sutter to learn how you can contribute. Thanks to Greg Moebius for producing, Nancy Graziano for wrangling the Space Cadets, Dan Michalko for being awesome, and all the fine crew at WCBE Radio for making this show possible. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Call 888-581-0708 or leave a voicemail anytime to join. You can also follow along with the Space Cadets on YouTube and Twitch. Go to spaceradioshow.com for the links and show notes and all the good stuff. And of course, thanks again, Earthlings, for listening. See you next week. And remember, science is for sharing. End transmission. That was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would love to keep chatting. Handshake. We're
you.
still going to stay sitting next to each other.
All right. Well,
So the
that just
it felt right.
felt right.
It felt right. There you go.
This is like
Yeah.
the camera's
Greg-
now panning out and the lights
Yeah.
are going down.
Yeah.
And we have the chit chat.
And we did the fake chit chat.
Yeah. Oh
We're like,
yeah.
Peas and carrots, peas and carrots, peas and
Peas and
carrots,
carrots.
peas and carrots, peas and carrots.
This
peas
coffee
and
mug's
carrots.
full of vodka.
Yeah, well,
Coffee mug's full of vodka.
I am so confused. That's usually like what from like newscasters and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, I have no idea what you're just talking about.
Yep.
I'm like, yep, okay, I could tell. And
Well, and they often have someone in their ear, like doing the.
the producers,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that is the worst thing in the world. I don't know how they do it. So Greg
I
doesn't
don't know
talk
how
to
they
me.
do it. Yeah.
I mean, he talks to me through pantomime and crude gestures. That's how he tells me to wrap things up. But I couldn't imagine, and I see it when they're talking to you, and they're trying to ask you a question, and you're answering, and they're just hearing a producer saying, "Wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. You've got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds. You got one more question. 30 seconds. You wrap it up right now." And I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I did a spot for a PBS show a little while ago, and I was in the production studio beforehand when they were doing other people's segments and watching the behind the scenes, and the producer was literally feeding questions to the interviewer while they're interviewing. Like she's like, and then they come right out of the interviewer's mouth, like she just thought of that question, and there's no way I would immediately. I can't. I have trouble like reading and chewing gum at the same time.
I know. It's actually a surprisingly tough job.
It is
like
tough.
being a news presenter, being an interviewer.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. And then they have to go. Sometimes they do this thing where they tell you about the worst thing that ever happened. Like a whole bunch of babies were run over by a train today. Really tragic. But in better news, a puppy was found.
Oh yeah, the context switching.
Like, what?
And like
I would be more upset about the babies in the train.
Yeah.
it's hilarious when you listen to this show because I'll do the intro billboard. And it's like super peppy and like, yay, science.
Yeah.
And then NPR comes down like, today, 4,000 people died in a tragedy, from poison candy apples passed out during Halloween. And then it's back to me. It's like, and space and science. And like it's just like, it's like the hardest transition possible.
We can lose that newscast, but we would need 5 minutes more.
That's not a bad thing. We don't have to carry the NPR news hole. I thought that was required. No, nothing. We do what we want at CBE.
We're renegades.
Nice.
By the way, your interaction, with all you guys, fantastic.
Awesome.
Great cast.
Thanks for
Fantastic.
putting us
Really
on.
It was compelling,
Yeah.
and just as a casual listener, I was brought in.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Really good.
And you can run
Thank
the
you.
muffin conversation as a promo
Well,
because you captured it, didn't you? You record
Oh, you
everything.
did?
He records everything,
Okay.
and it's out there. It's on YouTube. It'll be on YouTube forever.
Oh no.
Yeah, sorry.
I could do that, but I do want a legitimate promo.
Can I do a promo and then you cut to me asking if I can get a whoa in the whoa? And
Oh, yeah,
like you do
absolutely.
like a
Yep.
little tense. Perfect.
Yep.
I'll do a promo. So I'll do like a 20-second.
Yep.
Gotta record the promos. All right, turn that off. I have no idea how long 20 seconds is.
Third minute.
It's a thank you. That helps because I can think of a minute and I can think of our third.
You just have to put them together.
This is Paul Sutter, host of Space Radio. Coming up Saturday, 2 p.m. here on WCBE 90.5 FM. I have two special guests from the Carnegie Science Center, and we're going to talk about some awesome science. We're going to talk about why audiences matter, and we are going to say whoa at least twice. Can I get a whoa? Show title. Oh, so I ask all the Space Cadets for a show title subscription, and this just came in.
Whoa.
Simultaneous whoa.
Yeah.
Simultaneous
I like it.
whoa.
Perfect.
Can you say whoa?
Simultaneous whoa.
I love simultaneous whoa. Or which muffin?
Which one? Well, no, we didn't really talk about anything other than blueberry muffins. So
That was the
that
bulk of
tells
our
you that-
conversation. That was
that
the
tells
bulk
you
of our
what the
conversation.
best muffin, or at least the most
The king of
dominant
muffins. So
The
we're
king.
not gonna
Right.
say good or bad.
No, there's
We're
a
gonna
lot
say
of tyrant kings out there.
there's incompetence, but there are some great kings
Right.
that are greater than the average people.
So cheese muffin, I think they're getting a cream cheese muffin. Is that a thing?
Well, maybe, I guess. I don't know. I always get the blueberry.
Oh,
No, that's not true. Sometimes I get there's like a poppy seed something. It's not bad.
like lemon poppy seed,
Yeah, lemon poppy
poppy seed. You can get just classic cinnamon that's kind of
Yeah.
rolled in there
Got
with
a
a
banana
crusty
walnut
top.
occasionally.
Banana walnut.
Banana
you can get
chocolate chip.
You can get banana chocolate chip. You can get chocolate chip.
Mhm. Oh yeah, you got your
See-
chocolate muffins, which are borderline cupcakes.
I mean, all muffins. So my wife's a baker.
That's amazing.
Muffins are cupcakes,
Just
but
dressed up like breakfast.
it's the method. It's the method. It's like the exact same ingredients, but the ingredients are mixed in a different way. And one way gives you a muffin, the other way gives you a cupcake.
Wow.
It's the exact same stuff.
I bet you didn't anticipate coming in and talking about what breakfast food is.
I'm always thinking.
Generally,
about breakfast food.
generally, the show skews towards food. It's
Yeah.
nominally about space, but like you give me one little hook, and like I'm like, oh, food. Let's taking notes from that. Okay. Oh yeah. So we're still live streaming. We got wrap. Yeah. No, I just let this thing go. Thank you all, Space Cadets. So much fun. Sorry I didn't get to all your questions, but